They've been running the whole time.
Yeah.
We're going to make Sports Center.
Let's not talk about officials and I can find.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yeah.
make Sports Center.
We're not going to talk about officials because they don't care anyway what I say, so it doesn't matter.
Wait till you actually start to record that.
Just give me the thumbs up when everybody's ready to roll. Okay. Anybody not ready? We're good? Okay, good. We'll get started with normal protocol. So after watching our game again, always you get to see it a couple, 3 times by now. I was really excited about the way we played, really pleased with the way we played in the first half. If I have regrets from the first half, it's that, we left without a lead because I feel like we played the way we wanted to play the whole game. And we outgained them 200, which I didn't realize, 205 yards to 120 yards in the first half. And so to come out there with just a 7-7 tie, I wasn't disappointed, but really we should have got more out of that first half. But that was played the way we expected to play it. And in the second half, obviously wasn't a good half at all for us. But one of the things I saw from the first half was, and a lot of it continued in the second half to a point, and that's a lot of our players are getting better, right? I feel like we have a lot of good players on our football team. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know if to the man through the first 3 games, I don't see, in this third game, I didn't see our guys playing to a level better than they played in any of the previous 2 games as players themselves. So we're seeing some of the guys that haven't played as much, played a lot better. Some of the newer starters that we have played their best game. Some of our seasoned veterans played their best game, until it kind of fell apart in the third quarter, late third quarter, early third quarter, started to late third quarter, it fell apart. But my point is, as I look at it and I break it down individually, I see a lot of our players doing some really good things. And then it comes down to a nutshell. The score of the game wasn't indicative of the game. The game got away from us, and the game got away from us very early in the third quarter. They came out and put together a really good drive, and they hadn't really had, like I said, 120 yards. They had their first drive of the game where they got a lot of those yards, and I think we talked about it as a staff. I think they had 40 yards after their first drive, or 40 or 50 yards in the whole rest of the first half. And so in an offense, we moved the ball, but we didn't finish and get scores, right? Something would stop a drive right when we were getting ready to get into scoring position, and then we missed the field goal at the end of the half. I would like to get them in better field position than a 45-yarder, but we didn't do what we needed to do in that situation. But the point is, the early part of the third quarter, when they did put that nice drive together, now it's time for us to respond offensively, and we just had some unforced errors, right? We had penalties and unforced errors that happened as a football team. And when you go back and look, right now where we are, third game into the season, very early in the season, third game into the season, our formula for winning is eliminate unforced errors, right? Because we've played 3 good football teams. You look at the teams we played, you look at how they're doing in their other games, and look at who they played and how who they played have played. We played 3 really good football teams, I feel like, and I think they're all going to fare pretty well. I think Northwestern's a much improved football team. I thought they were very, very nice, a really, really good-looking football team on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and they've improved their skill through the transfer portal. So I think they're going to have a good season as well. So for us, we're down 7-1 in turnovers, right? And that's unforced errors, right? So when you're down 7-1 in turnovers in 3 games, you're not going to have as much success as you would like to have. So, we lost a close game, beat a good team, and then lost this game, played it real well for, 2 quarters. So for us to have the success that we're going to have this season, we just need to eliminate the unforced errors. And so that's a big focus for our football team right now as we move forward, play our brand of football, finish drives better, and create more turnovers on defense, obviously, and eliminate them on offense. So that's our big thrust. If we do that, we're going to win a lot of football games. And so it's not a real complicated formula right now to get it fixed. But we got to do that. We got to execute it and get it done. So moving forward, and I'll take any questions from anybody about the last game, but moving forward, Arizona, our biggest test of the year, and for one reason alone, is that they're a very, very, very talented team. You want to talk about their offensive line, starting with their offensive line, big, physical, athletic offensive line, a really deep backfield with running backs, good tight ends, and then, some good size at wide receiver. And then obviously they got Jacob, who's just a tremendous player for them. So they got, really a group of very, very talented receivers, and then a quarterback that's very athletic and makes a lot of plays. So offensively, they're a big, big test for us, and they're very versatile in what they do offensively. Defensively, they've gotten a lot better. They've recruited well. They've got more. They've got more talented defensive players on their team now. They're very deep up front. They got some solid depth at linebacker, and they're very deep in the secondary. So they have the size and the speed on defense. I think they're much improved this year defensively from what they were last season with the things they're doing as everybody expected them to be. And they're going to be a tough test for us for sure as we try to attack them offensively and then try to stop them defensively. So definitely be a huge test for us to go on the road. Of our first 4 games, 3 of them are on the road, and we got to find ways to win road games. And so for us to win this game, we got to make it our type of game against them because they're so explosive and they're so athletic. We got to make it our type of game, and then when we win the turnover margin, we win games, right? And so we got to win the turnover margin and give ourselves a chance to win this football game. And I think if we can play our style of football and win the turnover margin, then we got a great opportunity to get a victory, because we can play with anybody when we play football the way we want to play it. And open up to questions from there.
Once kind of adversity came up, you guys didn't do a real good job this year of responding to it. How do you fix that, or is that how do you get it going?
Yeah, we didn't respond to the adversity at all. Things kind of went downhill real fast, quickly in the third quarter. And the first response was, we came out and got the big play. Our first response was a 25-yard gain, but we got a penalty and it took us back 15 yards. And the next response was an unforced error by us. And so and the worst part about that is it was such a hard-fought game, and it was a game that played the style that both teams wanted to play. And then when they get the ball at the 7-yard line to start the drive and take a 2-score lead, I think that rattled us. And I think we're playing better than they are, and now all of a sudden in a short time span we're 2 touchdowns behind, and I think it just rattled us. And I think we just gotta be more mature. We gotta stay more focused. We gotta just take it one play at a time there, and we didn't do much after that. And then I started taking chances you wouldn't take if it was a close ball game, and that's why I say the score wasn't indicative necessarily. And then the momentum got on their side, and they got that big 85-yard play that they executed really well, and then took it to a 3-score lead. And with the 3-score lead, it really, took us, out of what we were trying to do. But we still did some good things, and then we just didn't finish the drives that we had. So, again, when a game gets out of hand that quickly, that's been such a hard-fought game, I think we got rattled by it, and we just got to be, we got to be more stable, to answer your question, Brett, and just take it one play at a time and not get caught up in the score at that point.
In the first half, you all had opportunities in there. You're driving and had some opportunities. What's the key to kind of finishing those drives and getting some points on the board on those?
Yeah, eliminating the one play, the one mistake, the one miscue that keeps you from getting points. Because again, when you got 205 yards, you should have more than 7 points on the board. So whatever it may be, you can pick out each drive and you go back and critique it. There's one thing that kept us, whether it be a penalty, whether it be just not executing on a 3rd down, whether it be a turnover. Those were the 3 things that really stymied some drives that had a chance in that second quarter to give us a lead going into halftime. And I think if we get that lead going into halftime, then that first touchdown doesn't rattle us as much as it did, and we don't get, they don't get the momentum, and then they got that lead so quickly, and then they start playing with a lot more momentum and vigor in the third quarter. So scoring more, in the first half was a big part of the game. Us not finishing some of those drives was a huge part of the ball game.
Obviously, last week we were talking about the offensive efficiency versus incarnate work, but you guys only averaging 16 points a game per 3 games for the first 3 years. How do you just get more points?
Sure, that's a big thing. 16 points per game is not going to be good enough for us, and so and I think it goes into eliminating the things that are stymieing drives, right? And because we just got to put more points on the board, and we got to create some big plays, right? Because we haven't created a whole lot of big plays offensively. If we create more big plays, which we've been able to do in the past, we've been an offense that can create big plays. That's a big thing right now that's missing, is getting some of those chunk plays that'll help us, because we're doing, I think I know this, we've got more first downs in all three of our games than our opponents, right? So that kind of right there puts it into perspective. Is I hit the turnovers, I hit the unforced errors, and then the next thing is more big plays, because when you've had more first downs in all three games, that's a sign that you're moving the ball and you're having some efficiency. Our efficiency numbers in the first two games, if you look at the Pro Football Focus and look at the first downs and some of the goals in our first two games offensively, we were super efficient, but we didn't score enough points in the first game. In the third game, we weren't near as efficient this game as we have been. But to answer that, Colin, it's create more big plays offensively, and that's going to be important, because that way we get more momentum going to help our defense as well.
Kind of jumping off that, obviously headed into the season, the big talking point with Gavin was he wanted to take care of the ball more.
Right.
Make better decisions. Just in your assessment through 3 weeks now, what has been the main source of his struggles?
Yeah, again, it's his source of his struggles are bad play calling by me, right? We're not going to pin anything on Gavin right now. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that, because the kid's a really good player, and everybody, all the pro scouts like what he's doing, and it's just part of that position that when a team's not doing what people want us to do, you're going to blame it on Gavin. But I've been really pleased with Gavin. I think he's doing a great job, and I got to give him better plays and get him in better situations.
How much is that a focus? I mean, I guess what if you bring up the play calling, just what if maybe not like from your play calling the first 3 weeks?
Yeah, not creating enough big plays and losing the turnover battle. That's the biggest thing that we got to do better offensively. And so if we're not doing those things offensively, that goes back on me as a play caller. It goes back on me as a head coach. Nothing that our players are doing, right? They're doing a great job, and we'll be fine. They're going to be fine because they're good football players.
How much in terms of that game plan of designing, I guess, the game plan, the plays that you will call in the game, is kind of like a collective effort with the offensive coaches, with you and Scotty?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, I think that part of it's good. I wouldn't go back and say that, if I had to critique my performance, I wouldn't come back and say that we called a bad game. You know what I mean? We did a lot of really good things. We actually managed it really well in the first half. But, some of the mistakes, the unforced errors and those sort of things, that's on me as a play caller, right? You always got to put your players in better situations. And so that's the part. I don't go back and say, gosh, there was a lot of bad calls in the game. It just, that was a game where we didn't have room for too many bad calls.
Is McNamara now officially the number 2, or the next game would Hurley go in?
It's the same. Yeah, that's a good question, Brett, because that's a big thing. Right now, those two guys are both 2, and Kevin isn't 100% healthy right now, and that's why he didn't play at all in the game, because I would have loved to get both of them in the game in that type of a situation. I think we had an opportunity, which if there is a good thing about it, I got some of those guys some experience, which is good. But no, once Kevin gets back to 100%, then it would be back to those two, because I think, like I've said before, I think those two really complement each other, and I see them really complementing each other by what they do well, and I've been really pleased with what both of them have done throughout spring ball and fall. So I like what they both bring to the table. At that point, I just kept McNamara in there just because I felt like Kevin's not where he needs to be quite yet.
The offensive line has allowed 5 sacks so far, but had a great performance against Incarnate Word in that first game here at home. Is it just about getting the offensive line moving on the road a little bit better?
Yeah, what's funny, Adrian, is a couple of those sacks that are credited as sacks are RPOs, where the quarterback's looking to run pass option. So Saturday we gave up 1 sack is all in the pass game. It was the one in the second quarter, and the rest of those sacks were RPOs. So I think offensive line-wise, on drop back passes, that's the funny thing about football now. Some of those play, or there might be a quarterback draw. Like one of them was a quarterback draw, I think, against gosh, I can't remember who it was, but maybe Incarnate Word, the sack that we gave up, the sack we gave up against Incarnate Word was a quarterback draw, and then one of them, or 2 of them, Saturday were quarterback RPOs where he's looking to throw a pass and gets hit. So I think we've only given up 2 sacks that way. So I've really been pleased. I mean, I thought our O-line, again, we got into some third and longs. I thought our O-line protected really well except for that one play where we gave up the sack.
What's that, Dion? Was he not available in the second half during last year?
No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was banged up again, a lot like the first game. First game he got banged up and we had to pull him early, and then he went back in. And then this game he got banged up early. Now right now he didn't practice today, but he should be good to go from talking to him. But it kind of hurt us because he was running extremely hard, and he got hit right in the back. We had a busted block, and he got hit right in the backfield, and he got hurt a little bit, and he didn't play the rest of the game. But I thought he was running hard and doing some good things early, so it really hurt us not having him, after the middle of the second quarter, I think, or early in the second quarter.
You got a freshman kicker at Fabiano, like he missed the one before the half. Is there anything you tell him to keep his hopes up to get his confidence up?
Yeah, that's one of those things with a freshman kicker. We kind of just got to grow, and that was a big kick if he could have made it. And he's got such a great leg, and so I know the potential's there for him to be a really good player. And unfortunately, he's just got to find his way. And I'm definitely not going to criticize him, or do anything like that because I love his leg, I love his potential. Unfortunately, he's just a freshman, right? And so we lost a guy that had started for us forever, right? And now we have to play a freshman, but the freshman's talented and he'll be there. And the biggest thing he needs to do is just keep kick the ball, right? Just kick the ball because it comes off his leg with a lot of life, a lot of elevation, a lot of juice. So I really like what he's gonna do. And as all things go in football, he'll make a big one this year. He'll make a big one for us. I know he will. I feel really confident about it.
Tyrese Knight made the comment, you said defensive player of the week. Just his the whole play in this first game.
Yeah, his stats after, obviously I didn't get to see his stats until Sunday, and 15 tackles, 4 tackles for losses, and a sack is what we had him at. And that's incredible. What a performance. And it says a lot when he can, go up against a Big Ten foe like that and get those kind of numbers and be player of the week. So I'm really, really proud of that. And I just keep saying how good that guy is. It's crazy what kind of player Tyrese Knight is. And a lot of our guys on defense, like if I went across the board, A.J. Odoms played his best game. Toy Richardson played his best game. Mo Westmoreland played his best game. And I'm saying since they've been here, their best games. Of course, A.J. hasn't been here that long at all. Trajan Huey played his best game. Mikael Brassard played his best game. And so if you go across the board there and start looking at how we're playing, as a head coach, you're like, okay, I know good things are going to come. We just got to eliminate the things I talked about. So I'm really proud of a lot of our players.
What's it going to be like to see Jacob on Saturday?
Yeah, it's going to be great to see Jacob, and I hope I just get to talk to him pregame and I don't see him do much during the game, but that's probably unlikely to happen. I'm sure he's going to be excited to play against the Miners too, and really happy about the kind of success that he's had. I know I get asked questions every time the pro scouts come through. They're asking me about Jacob. I know they like him a lot, and they like what he brings to the table as a player. So I know he's got a real bright future in the game. And like I've said before about Jacob, he left for family reasons, and he, as everybody well knows, he left. And if he told me if I don't get Arizona or Arizona State, then I'm not going to leave, right? But I want to be close to my son, and that part of it, stands great with us and everybody here in Miner football. He's just a good young man that's a great player, and we're really proud of what he's been able to accomplish.
Overall scouting report on Arizona through the first couple of games.
Yeah, they lost a tough one to Mississippi State. They fell down early to Mississippi State, but they came back and battled back and tied it. When we were getting on the plane, they were down, I think, 14-0, and then when I got off the plane, they lost in overtime, 31-24. So I didn't get to see that part of it, but of course I've studied the film of it, and they did a nice job of coming back and getting themselves right back into the ball game. And then Northern Arizona, they got after Northern Arizona pretty good in their first game, 38-3, and their improvement from last year to this year is that they've just gotten better. Every form or fashion of a football team, they've gotten better, and so they don't have a whole lot of weaknesses. They're a really good team, so it's another really good test for us, and it's just part of our non-conference play this year is against 2 Power Fives and a Mountain West opponent. So, and then of course a really good a highly ranked FCS opponent. So it's just a tough non-conference schedule for us, and three of our first 4 games being on the road is always a big test for your football team. But it's going to make us better. It's going to make us better because it's going to make some of these road trips down the road seem a little bit lighter than what they might be if we weren't playing such tough opponents on the road. So it's all going to harden our team, make us better, that part of it. But Arizona's going to be a big test for us, but we're going to be up to the test. I think we're going to play really good football against them.
What do you do to create more turnovers?
I don't know, Brett, more than just being in the right place at the right time. There was Saturday's game was a funny thing because the ball was bouncing. They had a rocket, we call it a rocket, but a sweep where they hand the ball off to the receiver, and they were going to fake one to the receiver and hand it to the back. The quarterback dropped it, and it flew right into the receiver's hands. They had about 2 or 3 plays like that where he wasn't even supposed to get the ball, but it flew into his hands. So we had 2 or 3 plays Saturday that the ball just didn't bounce the right way, which were obvious opportunities for turnovers for us. So I think they're all going to start to come in waves for us. It's just kind of, doing what we do, keep staying, playing good, sound defense, and things will start going our way. They seem to even themselves out, as if we just do things right and play good, sound, fundamental football. Okay, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you guys. Yeah.